Hello, good day, and welcome to the Onyx News. My name is Samuel Favor. U.S. expands immigration enforcement and travel restrictions amid broader national security push. Washington, D.C., December 21, 2025, the United States is moving to significantly broaden its immigration policies and travel restrictions going into 2026, in what the Biden White House calls an effort to strengthen national security and protect U.S. economic interests, but which critics warn may erode civil liberties and strain international relations. At the center of today's major domestic policy shift is a planned expansion of immigration enforcement efforts, backed by major new federal funding aimed at intensifying deportations, workplace raids, and detention operations starting in 2026. The approach, championed by President Donald Trump and Republican congressional allies, comes amid a wider conservative push to tighten borders following years of debate over immigration and labor markets. Immigration crackdown expanded. According to a detailed report from Reuters, the administration is preparing to deploy an aggressive or new immigration enforcement strategy in 2026 that includes increased funding for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Border Patrol, with approximately $170 billion earmarked through 2029 for operational support, by detention expansion and personnel growth. More frequent workplace raids at businesses suspected of employing undocumented workers. Expanded criteria for arrests, with deportation efforts increasingly targeting immigrants with minor violations or no criminal convictions beyond immigration status. The possible deportation of up to 1 million individuals per year, according to internal administration estimates obtained by Reuters. A greater emphasis on enforcement tactics previously considered controversial, including street raids and expanded detention capacity. These policies, the administration says, are designed to curtail illegal immigration and protect American jobs and wages. But civil liberties advocates warn they could lead to civil rights violations and disproportionate impacts on immigrant communities. But then targeted under the expanded rules lack serious criminal records, a shift that departs sharply from previous post-2010 immigration enforcement priorities. International travel restrictions grow. At the same time, the U.S. is tightening internal immigration enforcement. It has also broadened restrictions on travel from numerous foreign nations.
Late last week, the White House issued a presidential proclamation that significantly expands the list of countries whose citizens face travel bans or restrictions due to security concerns and vetting weaknesses. Under the updated policy set to take effect January 1, 2026, nationals from more than 30 countries will face limitations on entry to the United States. These include nations previously designated for full prohibitions or partial limits on visas and entry privileges. The expanded restrictions cover a wide range of countries across Africa, the Middle East, and beyond, including Afghanistan, Iran, Syria, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and individuals traveling and documents issued by the Palestinian Authority, in addition to partial restrictions on nationals of nations such as Nigeria, Angola, and Zimbabwe. Administration officials argue the changes are justified by what they describe as inadequate identity verification systems and concerns over overstays, document fraud, and security screening gaps. However, human rights organizations and immigration advocates have blasted the policy as broadly discriminatory, saying it punishes entire populations rather than individuals with substantiated security risks. Healthcare policy escalation. In parallel with tightening immigration policy, the administration has also made moves in the domestic healthcare debate, particularly around gender-affirming care for minors. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Under Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has proposed sweeping regulations that would bar hospitals and clinics that provide gender-affirming procedures, such as puberty blockers or hormone therapies, from receiving federal funding through Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP. This move represents one of the most significant federal efforts yet to restrict transgender healthcare services for youth, and has drawn sharp criticism from medical professionals and LGBTQ+ advocacy groups. Proponents of the expanded immigration enforcement and travel restrictions argue that a stronger border and tighter vetting are essential to national security and economic resilience. Opponents, however, warn that such sweeping policies could strain U.S. relationships abroad, deepen social divides at home, and pose legal and humanitarian risks. As these measures begin to take effect in the coming weeks and months, Americans, along with global allies and critics, are watching closely to see how the balance between national security, civil liberties, and international cooperation unfolds under the Trump administration. Critics argue the policy contradicts long-standing public health guidance and medical consensus on gender-affirming care, while supporters frame the move as protecting minors from what they call controversial or irreversible medical interventions. The debate has ignited fierce litigation threats from civil rights groups. I believe the policy violates established right to healthcare access and equitable treatment under federal law, national security, and broader context. These developments occur against a backdrop of evolving U.S. foreign policy and defense postures. The federal government continues to balance international pressures from arms sales to Taiwan that have angered Beijing, to ongoing operations related to maritime narcotics interdiction and strategic deployments in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. High-profile decisions like a record defense budget signed into law for fiscal 2026 demonstrate a complex political environment in which security, economic concerns, and global diplomacy intersect.
This is the end of our news for today. Please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you, Vutir.